Travels by Broomstick comes to you from South Wales, the land of the dragon. Oh, and sheep. We got lots of sheep. Welcome to all you good people out there in podcast land. So, let's get the broomstick out the garage, and off we go. Welcome to the continuation of our adventures in Cornwall. Today's episode, we look at the bare bones of Joan. In our last episode, we told you the incredible story of the life and death of Joan Wytte, the fighting Fairy Woman of Bodmin.
While researching the history and hauntings of Joan and her scary skeleton, we were able to walk in her footsteps, from her birthplace in Backstreet in Bodmin to her death in Bodmin Jail. We visited the Museum of Witchcraft and Magic, where her bones were once on display, and we visited her memorial gravestone at Minster Wood. But our adventures also took us to a magical healing holy well hidden away in the trees, called Scarlet's Well.
Scarlet's Well is the most renowned well in Bodmin. It possibly belonged to the Priory of Bodinio and was named after the prominent Scarlet family in the 14th century. In 1600, rumours spread throughout the land concerning the wondrous healing powers of this well. Its magical properties were so widespread that people flocked to the well in huge numbers. There were so many people arriving in Bodmin to bathe in its waters that the justices of the town, who found the use of Scarlet's Well overwhelming, decided to stop people from visiting, and they cordoned off the spring and forbade its use.
Dr. Thomas Quiller Couch, father of Sir Arthur Quiller Couch, a famous Cornish writer, remarked that the spring water of Scarlet's Well remained at a constant temperature of 53 degrees Fahrenheit throughout the year, and that its weight was similar to distilled water. The magical waters were said to cure all kinds of different ailments. Its miraculous healing powers were said to be due to the way in which the spring water percolated through a mineral vein being high in natural fluoride. But what does this magical spring water have to do with Joan Wytte? Well, get it? Well, the fighting Fairy Woman of Bodmin skeleton was submitted for inspection by the Home Office forensic experts.
This report states that the skeleton was that of a female, that she was aged around 38 years, that she was a heavy tobacco smoker, and that she used a clay pipe. The report stated that her bones did not show any signs of arthritis and in fact were of exceptional quality, as it showed that her bones were high in natural fluoride. This meant that the water supply source used by Joan in the Wytte family household was rich in fluoride. This evidence pinpointed the location of the family home to Bodmin town, where she grew up, right where the healing Scarlet's Well waters would have been used. The bones also showed that Joan was in long contact with kaolin, or china clay, and it is interesting that Joan was a tanner who made white leather of the finest quality that at the time was in great demand for ladies' and gentlemen's gloves, gauntlets, boots and shoes, a trade that Bodmin had become renowned for. The report from the forensic expert concluded by pointing to the huge abscess cavity in the right wisdom tooth.
Poor Joan must have endured considerable pain over a long period of time from the abscess. No wonder she was said to be bad-tempered and aggressive, which is why she was called the fighting Fairy Woman of Bodmin. And it was this fighting spirit that landed her in jail, where she sadly passed away in 1813.
Scarlet's Well is on the edge of Bodmin town, close to the Camel Trail. It is a secret little well that is hidden away from the hustle and bustle of the busy streets, down a narrow lane. It feels like it has been lost in time, and only those who seek it out will find it.
The well itself doesn't look very magical in its appearance. In fact, it looks quite uninspiring. So it's easy to pass it by and not know that this magical well even exists.
The water that bubbles up through the earth is crystal clear. You can most certainly see how people could believe in its magical healing properties. Scarlet's Well is one of the many holy wells in Bodmin.
There are records of St. Petrock's Well, St. Gouron's Well, St. Nicholas, St. Leonard's, the Well of the Holy Rood, and Fairwash Coombe. But all of these seem to pale in comparison to Scarlet's Well. Carew, in his survey of Cornwall circa 1600, wrote, "The water of Scarlet's Well should seem to be healthful, if not helpful. For it retaineth this extraordinary quality, that the same is weightier than the ordinary of his kind, and will continue the best part of a year without alteration of scent or taste. Only you shall see it represent many colours like that of a rainbow, that the waters are running through some mineral vein, and therewithal a processing virtue.
As previously mentioned, Carroll also wrote about the closure of Scarlet's Well, saying, "But the neighbour justices, finding the abuse and looking into the consequence, forbade the resort and sequestered the spring and suppressed the miracle."
Holy wells were much frequented by devotees in search of health, omens, or divination. Many of the wells were believed to possess curative properties. The well waters were believed to cure all kinds of ailments, such as warts, sores, lameness, rheumatism, eye problems, fertility issues, and even leprosy. The wells have been used as wishing wells, and people would go there to leave offerings, making wishes by throwing crooked pins into the water. Love divination was often practiced by young women, using pins made from blackthorn points. These would be thrown into the waters, and if they sank, then the love was not sincere. Rushes were woven into a cross and thrown into the well, and if it sank, it foretold of disaster within a year.
The superstitions that relate to holy wells date back to pre-Christian times, when water was seen as an object of worship and veneration. Offerings were made either to the water itself or to the deity of the spring. Offerings could be anything from coins to cakes. Coins have remained popular even today, as we throw coins into fountains to make wishes.
There were many different well deities. Granus, for example, was a Celtic deity who was associated with healing thermal and mineral springs. Demona, a water goddess who was associated with healing water and rivers. And the Irish goddess Bridget, who is often associated with water, especially three streams that join together into one. But she's best known as the goddess celebrated at Imbolc for wisdom, healing, protection, hearth and home.
This idolatry was resented by the Roman Church, and in 960 AD, the Saxon king Edgar commanded by canon law that every priest industriously advance Christianity and extinguishing heathenism, forbidding worship of water fountains, necromancy and auguries.
But finding the worship of these springs so deeply rooted, many of the wells were rededicated to Christian saints. Churches were frequently erected on the location of the springs, and a priest provided, baptizing his flock in the water of the well or holy spring. Nevertheless, many pagan customs of well worship remained and lingered on from generation to generation.
People still visit wells for their traditional virtues, be it for healing or divination.
We do love to visit holy wells, don't we?
We certainly do.
I wonder what it is about holy wells that are so...
Magical. Smagical?
So smagical.
I think it's the sound of running water.
Yeah, I feel drawn to holy wells. It's very peaceful, very natural. I love a holy well. What did you think of Scarlet's Well?
There wasn't a gift shop.
There wasn't a gift shop. No, I was very disappointed about that.
Scarlet's Well was very difficult to find. Very, very difficult.
How long did we spend trying to find that well? It must have been over an hour. We walked up and down that camel trail.
Well over an hour, yeah. And you could still walk past it and miss it. It was overgrown a little bit. And to be honest with you, it looked like a blooming drain, a culvert or something. It didn't look like a holy well at all.
No. If it wasn't for that little information sign, we would not have known that that was Scarlet's Well.
No clue. When we were trying to find it, we asked lots of people where it was, and nobody seemed to know. And they were all locals, so I don't know. Perhaps the advertising people should get hold of it.
But we did find it. Frank actually sniffed it out, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
He was a good little doggo.
Yeah, to actually find it, we had to cross a little stream. So it was a good job we had our wellies on.
Yes, it was. And then we went down that little overgrown bit,
yep.
All muddy.
And
then all of a sudden there was this well.
Yeah.
So it was magical finding it. But yeah, it was hard work.
It was hard work, yeah.
And no gift shop. That's all I care about. I had to fill up my own water in my own little glass bottle to take with me.
Not good, was it, really?
No.
Well, that concludes our magical adventures to Scarlet's Well and Joan's Bones. We hope you enjoyed it.
We will be continuing our adventures in Cornwall in our next episode. But if you want to tell us some places we should visit, please mention them in the comments and we'll go. We love the holy wells, we love ghostly things, we love aliens, we love Bigfoot, anything. Put it in the comments and we'll see if we can go. We need inspiration.
Careful what you wish for. And don't forget to like and subscribe while you're commenting.